Okay, so I am back doing the stream, which is not going to be very short because I got a thing coming up soon. But I'm going to just open up. I still don't know if I've got the thing fixed that I was hoping for, like where I get all the YouTube comments and the X comments all in one place. Usually that happens in my streaming program, but I'm not seeing it here. But that's okay. I can just have these things open and then we'll see how it goes. Mm. Yeah, okay. I think it's good now. And I'll go live on Instagram as well. And I'll put myself here and put this thing like this. Okay, so I'll put up this caption here. Ask AI coding questions. Or rather, let's see. 1 year of AI coding. Lessons learned. Ask me anything. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, I think we're good to go. I'm going to put this up here. There we go. Okay, so I have been coding with AI for 1 year now, this month. Last year, I was very skeptical of AI. And, but I had a very strong opinion about something that I didn't really have any experience with because I was judging something based off of a couple of things I've done very quickly. And I felt like I needed more time with the thing because it was a big thing that I knew that a lot of people were doing or considering doing or very against doing uh, programming with AI. I thought I should do it. So for 1 year now, I've been basically only coding with AI. I do also do some teaching. And for that, I obviously write the code myself still. But most of the development work that I've done for my own projects have been using AI. So I want to talk about that today because I think it's perhaps one of the biggest shifts that is happening right now in technology or just in the world, really. It doesn't have to be in technology. But okay, so if you're watching this, you're probably a little bit technical and you know coding yourself. But if you don't and you're not a programmer, let me just explain to you how we've been doing things since a very long time. When you want to build a piece of software, you try to figure out what you want to build, and then you figure out a like simple version of it. And then you build that, and then you put that out into the world, and then you learn, and then you do it all over again, right? This is how good software development has been done. So you don't build the whole thing before because you don't really know what to build. You have an idea, and ideas are a dime a dozen. Everyone has them. And just because you have an idea doesn't mean it's going to work. So what you have to do is that you have to test that idea by building something, and then you see if the world responds to it in a good way. And in 95% of cases, the world doesn't even care, even a little bit. And then 3% of the time they do care a bit. And then 2 or 1% of the time they care a lot. But you can't get to the 1% directly. You have to go through the whole testing process of testing hundreds of ideas. So good builders will be testing out new things all the time. new ideas, new concepts, new products, services, whatever it is. Now, the way it was used to be done was that you have an idea and you have to build something called an MVP, minimum viable product. You might have heard about that. It's like the minimum thing that lets you test your idea if it's worth pursuing or not. So you build out, let's say that for an app, it's like a simple version of the app, right? Maybe it shouldn't even be an app, but let's say that it's just a simple version of the app where you open up the thing and then you write down your whatever and then click a button and then it gets saved in the database and it shows you a list of things. That's a lot of apps out there. That, let's say, would take a person before to literally write the code for yourself, everything, set it up, everything yourself. Let's say that would take a week before. A competent programmer would take a week to do that. That same competent programmer can do the same thing using AI in 2-3 hours. What would take a week before now takes 3 hours. And you might think, oh well, but it's not really written in a good way and it's not going to work. No, actually, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. The difference between that programmer writing it themselves or using AI is negligible. And this is where one of my learnings are about this whole thing. If you're hearing something by people that are selling stuff where my 10-year-old kid can build an app in 10 minutes, there's AI tools coming out all the time. Build an app in 10 minutes. Even my grandmother can do it. That is not accurate. That is a road that millions of people are going down right now, thinking that they are going to be able to compete as a complete beginner in the world of technology because of AI. They don't need to know the technical stuff. That is not correct. That's not going to work because you don't know, because the thing that is being sold to us is that programming is now reduced to English language. And you can just talk to the computer like a human being, and it's going to know exactly what to build, and it's going to build it for you. That's actually not true, because there's a reason why we have programming languages. And it's because in a programming language, if you say one thing, it means one thing, and that thing only. Right? The people who design programming languages design it so that you can't run into absurd situations, even though you still do run into them. But you can't, like, if we look at math, right? As a in math, you can't have two things that are contradictory being true at the same time, because that just makes the whole thing collapse, right? You can't have 1 equals 1 and 1 equals 2 at the same time. That doesn't make any sense. So programming is kind of similar to that a little bit, not exactly, but you have to design it in a way so that you can't confuse the computer too much. And English language, or languages in general, human languages, are just not like that. Human languages are such that when you say something, depending on the context, a bunch of different things, it can mean 10 different things, and that's where it becomes complicated to say that now programming is as simple as knowing English. That's not true. But it's also not true that you now need to type out the code yourself all the time, or else you're in trouble because everything's going to go wrong. That's not true either. And that's what I thought 1 year ago, but I don't anymore. And I'll tell you why that is. Let's see. I'm going to just check the comments here if there are any comments coming in. If you have any questions or anything like that, just post it as we go. This is a very important topic. So, um, yeah, let's see. So, the here's what I thought. Let me go back 1 year and let me tell you what I think before we go into like past that. Um, if you have an idea for an app or something like that, and you want to use AI to build it, and you haven't coded before, what's going to happen is that you're going to go into one of these AI building tools, and you're going to have a general idea of something. Let's say that you have an idea that is, I don't know, it's something like, um, it's like, oh, think of a good idea here, or maybe a bad one. Um, so one thing could be like Uber for um, pizza delivery or something like that. I don't even know if that makes sense because they already have Uber Eats. But let's say that you come up with something that already kind of exists, but you have like a new spin on it, right? Um, Even if you think you have the general idea down, apps are not built in the general. Apps are built in the specific. Um, if you say, "Oh, build me this," like, and you explain it to it in one sentence, there are so many different ways you can take that idea that it's just impossible almost to imagine even how many. So, and then it builds you something, right? The AI will build you something, and it'll look pretty good as well. And you'll think, oh, this is pretty cool. But I want to change this. I want to change that. I want to change this. I want to change that. And as you're kind of molding it into what it is that you want, you will still keep going for a while, and it will still go pretty well for a while. But what happens is that at a certain point, because the complexity goes up, you're going to run into situations where it's doing the wrong thing, or it's not really understanding what you're trying to say, because it's just too many things that the difference between you've gone too into the specifics, and there's too big of a difference of what it is that you want it to do and what it is stuck in, because the AI kind of gets stuck into dead ends, and it just keeps looping around, and it just goes in circles. And that is what I ran into in the beginning. So the first 2 3 months I was just stuck with that a lot, and I thought that this is where AI is going to fail, because this is too big of a problem. And even I'm a programmer, so I even know how to talk to the AI in a more technical language, which is also something that you need to learn to do, which you can't do as just a beginner if you don't know how to program. You can talk to the AI in English language, but you need to know that the underlying structures that you're working with, you need to know about them. So, for example, if you're trying to build a to do list application, or some sort of a list application, which are like most applications, right? They're dealing with lists. For most people, lists are pretty simple, and we all know how to write a list on a piece of paper or something like that, right? But actually, if you're a programmer, you know that lists are based on like structures where you can kind of add things to the end of it, and you can kind of reorder it in different ways. And there's a lot of things like that that you learn as a programmer how to think. So if the AI is stuck on something, like you, for example, need a little feature that inserts a new list, or new item above a certain list item, because you want to edit it or whatever it is, right? Or you want to reorder it using drag and drop or something, right? Um, instead of like having the list written out in a certain order, you want to be able to make it so that you click and hold and you can reorder. if you know about how the underlying stuff works, even in a more of a general way, you can tell the AI, well, in a list of this, or an array as it's called in a lot of programming languages, use this ordering, use this way of ordering versus this one, because you already know that that's the one that you want. If you don't know how coding works, you don't even have that language to work with, and that is where the AI is getting stuck over and over, and you have no idea how to unstuck it. So that was something that I was dealing with a little bit, and I thought about a year ago, a couple months in, that even for um, somewhat competent programmers, even if you are using the technical language, it's still getting stuck because it still got stuck, and it will always get stuck. But I underestimated that the rate at which the models are still improving, that would actually be taken care of. And now I feel like this is much less of an issue. Maybe I've just gotten better at doing this myself. Obviously, that's true as well. But I just feel like the models are better now, where the problems that you would run into and the insane amount of time it was taking just to do small things before is actually much better now. So that's a surprise for me that even just in 1 year, the increase. This is not something that I actually have numbers on, but it's something that I felt. It just feels like it's much easier to work with now than before. So uh, now I don't um, like as an educator. I'm supposed to be a guy who like teaches people how to code. I'm really having to rethink my whole um, philosophy, I guess, or maybe not philosophy. Maybe that stays the same, but I was of the thought that even if you're getting into programming now, like obviously I learned this stuff like way before. So I came into AI already knowing this stuff and how to think like a programmer, thankfully. But if I'm thinking like if you're a young programmer now trying to get into this, or you want to become a programmer, right? And you're considering if you want to get into this, um, how should you do it? Like, because I was thinking that no, you just do everything by yourself. I still think that you need to write code by yourself. Absolutely, you need to do that. But I don't think that with the world, where I just said that what used to take a programmer writing handwritten code 1 week is taking 3 hours. I'm not really kidding about that. That's how long it's taking me to do iterations when I'm testing new things. And granted, I'm not really doing very, very technical things, but it's much faster than it used to be. And so if you're going to be like, I'm going to write everything by myself, you're going like at the very least like 10 times slower than a person who is good at coding as well and also is using AI. And so I'm now think I'm now thinking that um, not just with coding, but I think with anything, we have to just accept now that there is a magical machine that can give you the whole, I don't know, knowledge of the internet through like a question answer type of protocol or format, or whatever you want to call it. And in that world, we can't accept the new people coming in to just be like, no, you do things the old way because that's the best way to do things. I think we have to think in a new way. I'm at least doing this. I'm thinking of this in a new way now, and I'm gonna test some stuff out going forward. But I think I think it surprised me because I'm actually now of the opinion that we should use AI to code. I am much less skeptical of AI. I'm still skeptical of AI, but if you know how it works and you've um, tested a lot of things and you know its limitations, the, I mean, the because at the end of the day, the coding is not the important part, right? It's more like, are you able to test your ideas to see what works or not? And just the whole thing of having an idea and turning it into something that you can test, and just within um couple of hours at the most, you have something that looks very polished, and you can actually put it out there, send it out to people, or run ads on it and start getting traffic and see how the market is reacting. All of that can happen within one day versus before 1, 2 weeks. Um, I think it would be stupid to say that you just shouldn't use that technology because it's not very good for your brain. I think we have to look at, um, I think we have to accept that this is a new thing that humanity has to deal with now. Because I see, like, I've also been talking to some like students, high school students, or um, yeah, just students at different levels. High school, university, and stuff. And it seems like all the institutions are kind of pretending that these AI tools don't exist and that they're just saying, write this yourself, whereas everyone knows that everyone's using AI to do it. And even the teachers actually to mark are also using it. So, um, yeah, so I think it's a similar type of thing in the technology world. And I'm just trying to think how to do it for like when it comes to education for new people coming in, because I think it's a very exciting time also, because um, more people can come in. Uh, I think one thing that's particularly interesting is that um, if you think of apps that we have on the market, I mean, apps have been particularly um, popular since the App Store came out on the iPhone, right? That's like, say, 15, 16, 17 years ago. And since then, um, we have apps on our phones and it's been working quite well. But if you think about it, mm, out of maybe 100 apps that you've downloaded in the last couple of years because of problems that you've had in the moment, right? Oh, I need help with this. I need help with that. Oh, let me go and look for an app that helps me budget, or let me look for an app that helps me do XYZ. And then you try to find something, you find a bunch of them, and then you maybe try the free ones first, and then you pay for one, and then you go, this doesn't really work. And then you go, oh, this one actually works. And you use it for 10 days and you don't use it anymore. Isn't that like the experience for all of us? And the most used apps on our phones all end up being the same ones. It's the same ones globally. We end up just spending most of our time on the big apps that we all use, Instagram, TikTok, and browser, whatever it is. And this is where I found where AI can really help. I don't think it's true that anyone, like your grandmother, can code an app in 10 minutes, or your 10-year-old can app, the videos I'm seeing out there for these AI tools where it's like in 5 minutes I built this app and it's all good, right? That is just absurd to me that people are falling for, because yeah, okay, technically you can build it using one sentence, but where do you go from there? Is that actually being used? But if you actually learn some basics about programming and how to set up a database and how it should work and how to think about things, then I feel like the barrier to entry is much lower now than it used to be. And so then I see that, because I think really that um, we kind of live in a world where an app, like one app, is used by a million people, but it really should be like that one app is more like 10 apps that are slightly different, used by 100,000 people each. And then we go even further and it's like 100 apps by 10,000 people each. Because I think apps should be like more related to like the type of person you are, where you live in the world, the language you speak, the culture you have, all these things. And I think that if we do this thing right, I think we can bring more people in to the world of building using AI, and not get too hung up on the building aspect of it, because the specific code that is being written isn't necessarily the most important thing, especially for smaller things. If your job is to build really good technology and it's supposed to be really secure and it's very important that bugs don't happen, then of course it's very important that you use the right tools and languages and everything. But for most of us, if we wanted to build, like, I'm a big fan of building small apps in our own lives to solve small problems that we have every day, right? There, it's much easier to take something and build something just for yourself. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I think with AI, that's what I'm going to be working on a little bit, is to try to make that easier. Let's see if we have anything here. Mm, let's see. Yeah. So, mm, let's see if I have anything more to say on this topic for now. Yeah, I have to just say that I've been pretty surprised. After you know how to use the tools, and you've done it for a couple of months, it's scary how fast you're able to prototype. Um, there were, let me just give you a specific example. If you know development, you know that there's like a whole process to get something to the final stage, right? You have to kind of maybe write down some notes and think, and then you make some designs in something like Figma. You make some wireframing, like some stuff, so that you can see what you're thinking, and then you turn that into a website. And it's like different steps, but in your brain it's pretty clear. If you've done it for a while, you it's pretty clear in your brain what you want. And now you just have the AI, because I use Cursor AI, and it basically has ChatGPT on the left side. And then you have the code on the right side. It can also use other models. So you can use Claude and things like that too. But you basically have, it's like kind of like ChatGPT together with code editor in one. And now it's just like you have this person that is a senior designer, developer, writer, everything. And then you're just like talking to that person. Hey, what do you think of this idea? Hey, what do you think of this idea? Let's try it out. Let's give me like a quick draft of this. Do a drop down in this way. And then you go, no, don't do it. Do it in this way. And before, in order for you to, there's the idea. So if you've done it long enough, you can iterate on things directly in your brain. You can go through iterations fast in your brain because you've done it so much. You know the mapping from your brain to the real world pretty well. So you can go, that's not going to work, that's going to work, that's not going to work, there's not going to work. But there's a limitation to that. And the only reason you don't go like, I'm going to not write the full implementation for this specific thing in this way is because it's going to take me too long. But sometimes you have to still do it because you still have to see it. And that process of you having a thought, let me try this out, to the final product used to go through several different distinct stages, in many cases, different programs. And now it just goes one straight line, because the AI is so sophisticated now at understanding exactly what you mean. Memory is getting better, context is getting better. And in just 1 year, I've seen a huge change in it. It's understanding exactly what I want much better now than before. And so the number of times that you can just go through that process, idea, feedback, and then idea, feedback. You're doing 1,000 of those a day now versus maybe 100 on a good day before. And so the people choosing not to use AI at all or just doing everything by themselves or just writing most of the code themselves, I used to think that that's the best way to go about it. Maybe it is too in some ways, but um, it just there's no competition because you're getting left behind in the dust. But I still think that the best people, I still think that you're not going to be able to compete at the highest level as a complete beginner because you need to develop that technical language as well in together with the AI ability to work with AI, right? It's got to be both. So I think that's where I have to put my focus going forward. We can't introduce new people to programming in 2025, going into 2026, saying there is this magical machine that can do so many things, but just pretend it doesn't exist. Use Google, use Stack Overflow, or just use it as a just helping tool, ChatGPT, the same way you use Google. That's unreasonable. It's the same way we can't tell kids not to use this magical machine that will do everything. We need to accept now that this is part of us. In many ways, ChatGPT is now part of ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, whatever you use. It's part of our nervous system in a way. In the same way that the internet is part of us, in the same way that the phone is part of us, the phone is now part of us. If you don't have your phone with you, you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not complete, you know, because it's an extension of you. In the same way, the internet. If you're not connected to the internet, if you're outside somewhere with your phone and you don't have cell phone reception, or you don't have cell phone reception, you can live with, right? If you can't call, but if you can't be on the internet, that's the big problem. Um, you feel like the internet is a part of all of us now, and AI is now entering into the same category. We're all spending hours on it every day. Not all of us, but if you're watching this, you're probably spending a lot of time on it. Anything like so but it's like, how do you think about this? Because the ChatGPT is only 3 years old. It came out in 2022, I think. 3 years old. What? That's nothing. But what is clear is that this new thing it's gonna require us to rethink our educational institutions, because there's no because I think the I think what this is going to do is it's going to shift the focus to something that was more important all along. Maybe it's gonna allow us to like find ourselves or something. Um, but because it's real, I mean, as programmers, we get fixated on the technology and the database and the it is a super base or Firebase, blah blah blah, all that. And maybe some of us should be talking about that and thinking about that a lot. Some people should be thinking about that, but at the lowest levels, that's really not the important part. I mean, the important part is that you want to get to 1,000 monthly recurring revenue. How do you get there? You know. Um, so the important part is, how do you test the most amount of ideas as fast as possible, knowing what you're doing. Know that if you're going to go into this world and use AI at the level that I'm talking about now, that you're not going to compete for the 300,000 a year senior developer position at Netflix where you need to know about everything inside out. You're just not going for that. But I don't think that's a goal for most of us. I think most of us are more interested in just finding things that work and doing those. And the way to, in the digital world in which we've been living for decades now, you build an app. If you build an app, you create a video, you know. So um, I think humanity has been too fixated on the building aspect of things. Oh, we've built it in this perfect way, where, not perfect, that doesn't exist, but we've built it in a way where this thing can support 1,000 different people using it all over the world in no problem. No problem. Because we use this versus this, we use this thing, and we decided to go for servers that are in this part of the world versus this. And I think too much of our attention has been focused on that conversation, whereas what AI lets you do is just go, yeah, okay, but like, I mean, so what do you want to do? Okay, so you want to make money, basically. That's all of you, right? Okay, so there you go. I'm gonna allow you to build software much faster than before, so that you can find certain things that actually allow you to make something that solves people's problems. And that's really the real conversation for most of us, because I think um, our our institutions as well are set up so that we kind of glamorize the academic. We glamorize the academic, and we go right in this way that is like Shakespearean, because you got to learn why we have to learn all those things, because there's this there's kind of this focus on like knowledge, like how much knowledge do you have, so that if someone asks you, oh, do you know this, randomly, you would know that thing and you would seem smart. And I think all of us have gone through that system, and it kind of teaches you to basically, all through our schooling, we are taught to want to become PhDs and do like academic research in something. Um, but like less than 1% probably of the full population are academics that work in universities. Most people are just regular people, like, garbage men and plumbers and lawyers, and just regular things where you have to get things done. You have to like understand what your customer wants and you have to do it. There's no like knowledge, like, well, how much do you know and all that. Yeah, okay, you can show your degree and say that you went to a fancy school, and they'll be, but at the end of the day, like, if you have like 1,000 customers that were super happy, you just show them that. Oh, seriously, you had that person as a customer? And yeah, okay, well, I want you to. There you go. Let's get to work. let's make that thing, let's win this case, let's build that app, let's make that video, let's do whatever. That's what matters. And AI is what lets us do that more, because the name of the game is most things won't work. Maybe 5% of what you try will work. So if you want more success, you have to try more. And AI, if you know how to use it, lets you try at a rate that is 100 times more than what used to be just a few years ago. And that's the whole thing for me. That's what I learned. And I thought a year ago that AI was not up to the task. It would fail, and it does still fail. But there are ways to get around that. It's getting better also. What things that it failed on a year ago is not failing at the same rate now. So it's still getting better, actually. You got to just learn how to talk with it in the right way. And it's just mind boggling. I'm still amazed every day, even though I've used it for a year and I've been using AI just since it became a thing in our modern way, right? With ChatGPT since 3 years now. And every day I'm just amazed at just when I put something into ChatGPT and it just gives me that, which I know has only been given to me in that specific way. Just um, growing up with websites and knowing this website is exactly the same for everyone in the world, which was just also a mind blowing idea back in the day. But now to go from that to no, this is the compression of all websites in the world. And from that, an algorithm churning out exactly what it thinks I need at this moment in time for this context based on everything it knows about me. And is it perfect all the time? Is it better than me a lot of the time? No. But my gosh, I mean, just take the loneliness of sitting with your notes and just feeling like you're all alone and with your idea and just writing things, which by itself can be a nice activity. But now you have this thing that is your writing partner. Just, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, I just had this thought. What do you think about this? Do you think this is going to work? What do you think? What about this? What about this? What about this? It's amazing. And is it perfect? Should we just use it all the time? No, I'm not saying any of those things. I'm just saying now that my opinion in the last year has changed. I think AI, it's here to stay. We have to learn to live with it. We have to integrate it into everything because people already are. Institutions haven't yet because they're still restricting it, and um, they are still against it, as they always are and will be. Institutions are always lagging behind society by like 100 years at least. Um, but you just have to look at the screen time of everyone on their computers and phones. Um, when YouTube came out, Paul Graham, who's a guy I follow, you should follow as well. He started Y Combinator and did a bunch of other things. But he said that the way that he knew YouTube was working was because he went into people's offices back in early like 2005 2006 for meetings. He would go into companies and he would see on everyone's um, computers screens, he would see YouTube, and he would see them watching YouTube during their lunch and stuff like that. And that's how you see how you have to go by what people are doing, and not what they are saying. So institutions are against it, but the teachers themselves are using AI to create the assignments. The students are using AI to do the assignments. Um, right now, it's being done in a let's do things efficiently and not care about what's coming out of this. But I think and I have to go now soon, just like 2 minutes. I think this tells us something that we should have done a long time ago, which is we have to shift our focus from knowledge to doing. Because you can't fake with AI in the doing part. You still have to demonstrate that you know, because AI will test you after a while. You can't build an app that actually people use and it's working without actually understanding how apps are built. It's just not possible. And if you don't know it before, in the process of getting it out there, you will learn it because you will fail too much and go in circles and then understand. So you will still, the AI is still going to test you in that way, but it's just going to let you do that a little bit further in before. Anyway, I have to go now. Thank you so much for listening. I haven't done a live stream in a while, so I feel like I wasn't very, very in the zone today. But this has been a 1 year long experiment that I am fairly certain now what my stance is on this. And going forward, I will be using AI in my education. There will be nothing that doesn't also include AI because it doesn't even make sense to say AI now, but I will because you have to do that. But it's like this is a big thing, like the internet, very clearly. It's already a part of the way people, function. So, yeah, thank you for watching. If you're watching or listening, I'll be recording some podcasts later this year. There's only a couple of days left, but I have some recordings planned because I'm getting a bit busy nowadays, and I just wanted to make sure that I have some content to post in like short audio clips next year. So if you want to check that out, you can read on my profile. I have a thing that I posted about like wanting to ask some questions. If you have some good questions, you can go to rafethoda.com/ask and put a question in there. And yeah, if you are interested in this topic or you watched this and you found any of this interesting, let me know. Ping me on any social media where you're watching this. Send me a message and I'd love to talk. That's it. Thank you so much. I gotta go. Have a good rest of the year. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, all that good stuff.